If you're familiar with the New York Post, I don't know if you saw the March 27th cover. Had an interesting cover. It goes, we'll show you on the screen here. After mugging New Yorkers with congestive tax, MTA says 2nd Avenue extension will cost $4.3 billion a mile. Q got to be kidding. Q, because it's the Q train. On top of that, they've just hired consultants to expand the subway, $250 million. For what? You know, this has gotten ridiculous. You have to remember to this point, and we're going to read it off the New York Post, the article on here. But understand this. The inception of, basically the planning for this 2nd Avenue subway goes all the way back to the 1930s. I think it's the end of the 30s on this. It has been rousted or stirring up for many decades after that. About around the 1970s, you started to see some sort of work started up. It wasn't until after the 2000s they really got into it. And only just recently, they only got a couple of stations up and going. Now they want to go to the other end. Now, originally, they was like saying the congested pricing was going to pay for that. But meanwhile, just like something out of Oliver or one of these other movies,
please, sir, I want some more.
They're trying to get to the feds, and the feds are not going to give money to this point. They've already made the stance that clean up your subway, clean up your books, and maybe we might give you some funding again. Because that's the problem. The money that they're grabbing here, they continue to grab from our tax. If you're a New Yorker, from our taxes. And from everything else on there, the congestive tax that they've been throwing on people on there, which hopefully will be ending soon. They've been extended a little bit. I think they're going to go to court with this one. But there's still other court, there's still another court case handling there that are fighting against it, for and against. So, but before we read into this, don't forget to drop a comment on there, like, share, and don't forget to subscribe. We really do appreciate you on clicking on this video. Hitting that subscribe button moves us up, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Rumble. We really do appreciate that. I mean, there are other sources of weighing to support this channel, which is in the description below, or you wait till the end of the video. It will give you that information as well. So basically, right now, you got the New York Post saying MTA greenlights $250 million for consultants to expand the 2nd Avenue subway at an expected cost of $4.3 billion to build. I mean, this is the money that's been put to propose this. Other countries have spent a lot less on this. But let's read into this. The MTA spending is like a runaway train. The MTA's board rubber stamped nearly $250 million for consultants in an already colossal, pricey, long-delayed 2nd Avenue subway extension. The mega plan, Phase 2, to grow the Q line by 1.8 miles on the Upper East Side is expected to cost $7.7 billion, that's billion with a B, or an eye-watering roughly $4.3 billion per mile, making it one of the most costliest subway projects in the world.
That's a lot of nuts!
Sound familiar? Remember California? Train that went to nowhere. The lavish outlay comes as the MTA officials plead poverty while pursuing an entirely separate bank-breaking $68.4 billion capital plan for 2025 through 2029. Transit agencies bigs have warned that New Yorkers are in for another summer of hell without that funding, and the MTA and Governor Kathy Hochul has sparred with President Trump over the need to gouge drivers with a $9 congestive pricing toll to pay for the subway improvements. They just can't make their mind up what they want to use those $9 for. Is it for the MTA? Is it for the roads? It's this is the insanity that's happening here in New York. Legions of MTA critics, such as the state Senator James, I'm sorry if I messed this up, Scolfus, have argued against transit agency spending on projects it's simply out of control. The MTA spends taxpayer dollars with reckless disregard, then turns around and asks legislators to bail them out every year, Scofus said Wednesday. Big Apple leaders for nearly 100 years eyed Second Avenue subway line on the Manhattan East Side, but only started become a reality in 2007 with groundbreaking in phase 1 of the project. It took 10 years, however, for that first extension, which added 3 stops to the Q line between 63rd to 96th Street, to become a reality, finally ending in 2017. The first phase cost $4.5 billion per mile, costing roughly about $2.5 billion. The Second Avenue subway extension phase 2 will grow the Q line from 96th Street to 125th Street and Lexington Avenue, adding 3 new stations along the way. The total construction cost for the second phase is projected to be $6.9 billion, with another $700 million coming from financial costs, an MTA rep told the Post. Roughly half of the project's cost, $3.4 billion, will be paid by grants awarded by the Biden administration, although the funds have yet been appropriated, official says, because they're probably being pulled back. MTA chairman and CEO Janet Lieber defended the project's price tag, arguing New York City subway carries as many people as the entire U.S. aviation system every day. No one complains that the federal government pays a ton to run air traffic control systems, or that pays a ton to invest into airports when it carries on a daily basis fewer people than the New York City subway. You're going to compare yourself to airports, to the situation, and remember, they are talking about airports right now. They are talking about air traffic controllers right now, funding to that situation and education points. So it's not out of phase. MTA board members at their meeting earlier Wednesday unanimously approved 2 pieces of spending on consultants for phase 2 of the Second Avenue project. They couldn't do it themselves. They needed to hire an outside firm. A $186 million contract with AECOM and HNTB, 2 of the New York's largest infrastructure consulting firms, to oversee phase 2. $60 million toward engineering and designing STV Incorporated and WSP USA Incorp. Those firms' total designs service contracts for the project now balloon to $255 million and up from the original $120 million record show. Lieber defended hiring consultants as sufficient for big projects such as the Second Avenue subway, arguing the MTA otherwise have to temporarily hire and fire in-house employees. But Transit Worker Union President John Samuelson blasted the $186 million consulting contract as part of the problem. Save money, baloney, he says. This is Jano's profit-making consulting contractor swamp. The funds should be instead invested in the workforce to move the MTA forward, Samuelson said, claiming that Lieber has deliberately diminished the in-house capacity and created this swamp of outside contractors. I agree with that. Pricey consultants have been blamed for much of the massive cost for the subway's first phase. The MTA spent $656 million on consultants to design and engineer that phase, or twice as much to actually dig the subway tunnel, researchers at NYU found in a 2023 study. The beginning phase was cost between 8 and 12 times more expensive than comparable projects in Italy, Istanbul, and Sweden, the study found. The MTA officials, such as Lieber, have argued a better measure of the project cost effectiveness is looking how much it costs per rider. The Second Avenue subway project per rider cost is estimated at $62,500 for phase 2, in the middle of the pack of worldwide officials' content. John Kearney, an executive director of the government accountability group Reinvent Albany, argued that the MTA's highest priority should be replacing the subway system's 100-year-old electric systems and signals. Exactly. We should not be buying new subways. We should not be buying new bus systems, changing over, adding new subway lines on there. We should be repairing our infrastructure. That's where the money should be going to. That's where we're going. We have sections that are damaged. We have tunnels that are damaged. Tunnels that go underneath water. Understand that basically goes under. The L line is still, they still haven't completed the L line yet. There still needs repair work on the shuttle. There's still, the 456, the 1, 2, 3, the A, C, and E lines that they need work on that. The N, the R, the Q. There are many lines that need money to fix them. There were billions in cost overruns for the first leg of the 2nd Avenue subway and the Long Island Railroad East Side access. He said there were disasters. Some of the Big Apple subway riders along the Q line Wednesday says they still don't understand the sky-high cost. The stations are nice, and I know it costs money, but it doesn't cost $3 billion, said medical tech Louis Corina, 41 of East Harlem. That's right. Where's all this money going to?
Show me the receipts!
I am like a lot of people who use this line. We're excited by the extension because I live in East Harlem and it will save me a lot of time in my commute every day. But the fact is the fare keeps going up because the MTA is spending hundreds of millions to pay off unions or whatever they're doing to really aggravate. Peter Paganato, sorry if I mispronounced that, 49, Upper East Side resident, said he favors expanding the Q line, but the cost arguably cancels out the benefits. You feel like you're being suckered, he said. I just feel like this MTA and all these other agencies involved with these kind of projects are all deadlocked, and it's impossible to fix them because they are too big. I'm honestly amazed that they're even able to handle making a phase 2 with all their problems. And of course, remember all the delays on the subway and bus lines, basically the crime that's down below. They said, the crime's going down. There was a report out that there have been more attacks on cops in the subway line. So that doesn't sound like basically crime is going down. It's basically the people that are trying to stop the crime are being attacked as well. I mean, it is an insanity. And I brought this up here, in Staten Island, the S48. There are days where it's running one after another after, all the situation. And then there are other days, in the early evening, you're waiting an hour or two for a bus, especially if you're headed to the ferry. If you want to leave the island, because if you don't live, you worked on the island, but, you're trying to get home. It's almost feeling like you're in the 1970s or 80s in Staten Island the way it used to be. Because there's not, they've cut back on maintenance workers on their overtime. They're unable to do overtime, to the situation. So basically you have drivers sitting at the parking garages where the buses are at waiting for an available bus. We've reported this, we've shown you the footage, but this continues to happen constantly. And it's the same thing with the subway lines. Subway lines are not running on time. We have a lot of issues on there. Besides that, you have people sleep, you have the homeless sleeping in the subways, urinating, defecating, eating, it hasn't been working out very well. And the thing about it is that we need a sort of Doge type situation with the MTA. Their books need to be opened up. We need to, we need a governor and we need a mayor to stick together and say, it's about time we wrangle in the MTA.
Show me the receipts!
It's about time. It's been a long time coming. It's well needed. You could blame the unions. You could blame some of the contractors and stuff like that. But it's the agency itself that is in issue right now. Like I said, we have a 100-year-old infrastructure, especially the electrical part of it. We have not gone through and changed everything on there. There's still track lines, the upper decks, the lower, tunnels, stuff like that needs to be repaired. Even our repair shops, the depots where we go repair our trains, they're crumbling. There may be one or two that have been repaired, but the rest are crumbling down. It's become a situation, and it's not getting any better anytime soon. So comment, let me know your thoughts about this. Is it time that basically we get an audit from the MTA? It's time that we fire all these people up top because they have wasted tax dollars, state dollars, federal, and everything else they put in there. And basically, still they're pissed. So they're wondering why a lot of people are not paying the fare these days. So comment, like, share, and hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check out all our videos here on QTCast TV, Man with a Show, and Otaku Thursday returning back in April. So stay tuned for that. So until next time, have a good one. Bye-bye now.